A sudden phone call alters the trajectory of your existence. The diagnosis is confirmed, the contract is terminated, or the relationship is abruptly severed. In a fraction of a second, the carefully constructed architecture of your future collapses into dust. The immediate instinct is to resist, to rage against the injustice of the universe, and to demand an explanation from a silent sky. This is the default human condition, a desperate clinging to a reality that no longer exists. Ancient thinkers observed this universal suffering and proposed a radically different response. They did not suggest merely tolerating the sudden storms of existence, nor did they advocate for a grim, tight-lipped endurance. Instead, Stoic philosophy unpacks a profoundly counterintuitive approach to catastrophe. The ancient Stoics called it Amor Fati, a Latin phrase that translates to a love of one's fate. It is the deliberate, conscious decision to not just accept whatever happens, but to embrace it with genuine enthusiasm. Loving your fate is frequently misunderstood in the modern era. It is often mistaken for a passive resignation, a weak surrender to the whims of chance, or a toxic positivity that denies the reality of pain. But Amor Fati is fiercely active. It is a muscular, dynamic engagement with reality exactly as it presents itself. It requires the courage to look at a devastating setback and declare that this too is a necessary part of the journey. The paradigm completely flips. Instead of viewing an obstacle as a barrier blocking your path, the obstacle becomes the path itself. Every heartbreak, every failure, and every moment of physical pain is no longer seen as something happening to you. It is reframed as something happening for you. This subtle shift in perception alters the entire chemistry of your emotional response, transforming paralyzing despair into an invigorating challenge. Epictetus understood this transformation intimately. Born into slavery, his early life was defined by extreme subjugation and physical vulnerability, his very body owned by another. Yet he cultivated a mind so fiercely sovereign that he became one of the most influential teachers in the ancient world. He realized that while he could not control his physical chains, he held absolute dominion over his judgments about those chains. The wisdom of the former slave offers a blueprint for navigating our own modern cages. When anxiety over a volatile economy or a sudden personal crisis threatens to overwhelm you, his teachings provide an immediate anchor. You begin by violently separating the events of the world from your internal reaction to them. You cannot dictate the actions of a difficult colleague or the sudden onset of an illness, but you retain absolute veto power over how you interpret those events. This realization breeds a profound psychological stillness. When you stop fighting reality, the energy previously wasted on resentment is suddenly liberated. You no longer exhaust yourself wishing the past were different or dreading a future that has not yet arrived. The mind settles into the present moment, clear-eyed and ready to maneuver. The chaos of the external world loses its grip on your internal weather. You begin to examine the shattered pieces of your previous plans, not as a tragedy, but as raw materials. If a financial loss forces you to downsize your life, you do not mourn the lost luxury. You eagerly embrace the opportunity to practice minimalism, to discover what is truly essential, and to detach your self-worth from material accumulation. The loss becomes a masterclass in self-reliance. Marcus Aurelius practiced this exact discipline from the highest seat of global power. As the Emperor of Rome, he faced relentless plagues, unending wars, and deep personal betrayals. Yet his private journals reveal a man constantly training his mind to welcome adversity. He did not ask the universe for a lighter burden. He demanded broader shoulders, viewing every crisis as an opportunity to practice justice, temperance, courage, and wisdom. The emperor utilized a powerful metaphor to conceptualize this active embrace of hardship. He compared the Stoic mind to a blazing, roaring fire. A small, weak flame is easily extinguished by a sudden gust of wind or a handful of debris. But a massive, roaring inferno consumes everything thrown into it. The very things that would smother a lesser fire become the exact fuel that makes the inferno burn brighter and hotter. Your task is to become that roaring fire. When life throws a heavy log of disappointment or a suffocating blanket of grief onto your path, you do not shrink away. You consume it. You extract the lessons, you let the pain forge your resilience, and you use the experience to deepen your empathy for others. The obstacle ceases to be a hindrance and becomes the very source of your light and heat. Consider the devastating blow of a sudden career derailment. You have invested a decade of your life into a specific company, sacrificing sleep and personal relationships, only to be made redundant in a corporate restructuring. The immediate shock is profound, leaving you unmoored and questioning your value. Society expects you to wallow in bitterness, to curse the executives, and to view yourself as a victim of a cruel system. Choosing the path of bitterness is a slow poison. It infects your future interviews, damages your relationships, and keeps you chained to a past you cannot change. But applying Amor Fati severs those chains instantly. You look at the termination letter and you choose to love it. You recognize that this forced exit is the exact catalyst required to finally start the business you have been dreaming about, or to pivot into a career that actually aligns with your values. This radical acceptance does not mean you suppress the sting of rejection. Stoicism is not the eradication of emotion, it is the domestication of it. You feel the disappointment. You process the fear of financial instability, but you do not let those emotions dictate your identity. You extract the virtue from the situation. The setback demands courage, and by meeting that demand, your character is permanently upgraded. A quiet confidence begins to bloom in the spaces where anxiety used to reign. You realize that if you can embrace the loss of your livelihood and transform it into a stepping stone, there is very little the world can do to break you. You are no longer fragile. You have discovered a source of security that is entirely independent of external circumstances, rooted deeply in your own capacity to adapt and overcome. Cultivating this mindset requires daily, intentional practice. It begins with the smallest inconveniences. When you are stuck in agonizing traffic, you do not pound the steering wheel in frustration. You smile and welcome the unexpected opportunity to practice patience, to listen to an educational podcast, or simply to sit in silence. You train the muscle of Amor Fati on the minor annoyances so it is strong enough to handle the major tragedies. Zooming out from the immediate moment, you begin to perceive the vast, interconnected web of cause and effect. Every event in your life, both the joyous and the agonizing, is a single thread in a massive tapestry. To reject one thread is to unravel the entire design. The painful breakup 10 years ago was the exact prerequisite for meeting your current spouse. The agonizing failure was the necessary precursor to your greatest success. This is the essence of radical acceptance. It is the profound understanding that wishing for reality to be anything other than what it is a recipe for endless misery. The universe operates according to its own unfathomable logic, and your resistance to it is like a single drop of water trying to hold back a tsunami. Amor Fati teaches you to ride the wave instead of being crushed by it. A powerful psychological tool for building this acceptance is a simple linguistic shift. You eliminate the phrase "I have to" from your vocabulary and replace it with "I get to." You do not have to care for a sick family member. You get to demonstrate unwavering love. You do not have to face a terrifying medical treatment. You get to test the limits of your physical and mental endurance. Over years of sustained practice, this subtle linguistic shift rewires your neural pathways. The default setting of your brain moves away from threat detection and toward opportunity recognition. You become a person who walks into a storm not with a cowering posture but with an open embrace. The bad parts of life are no longer interruptions to your story. They are the most compelling chapters. The ancient voices of Rome and Greece echo across the millennia, offering a unified chorus of strength. Epictetus from his humble classroom and Marcus Aurelius from his imperial tent both arrived at the exact same conclusion. The quality of your life is not determined by the gentleness of your circumstances, but by the ferocity of your response. Their lives serve as undeniable proof that the human spirit can remain unbroken in any environment. You are building an impenetrable citadel within your own mind. When the walls of this inner fortress are fortified by the love of fate, external circumstances become irrelevant to your core well-being. The economy will fluctuate, relationships will evolve, and bodies will inevitably age. But the citadel remains untouched, a sanctuary of peace amidst the swirling chaos of mortality. Tomorrow will undoubtedly bring a fresh set of challenges, unpredictable and entirely outside of your control. You will wake up to demands that require your immediate attention, conflicts that test your patience, and news that threatens your optimism. You will not hide from these realities. You will step into the arena of daily life equipped with the ultimate defensive weapon, which is the willingness to accept whatever comes. This is how you achieve true inner freedom. It is not the freedom to do whatever you want, nor is it the magical ability to escape pain. It is the ultimate liberation from being a victim of circumstance. When you love your fate, you are no longer a hostage to fortune. You become the undisputed author of your own experience, writing a narrative of triumph using the ink of adversity. The next time the ground shifts beneath your feet, do not brace for impact. Open your arms to the fall. Look directly at the challenge. Strip away your judgments and recognize the hidden gift within the hardship. Embrace the struggle. Consume the obstacles and let the unpredictable fires of life forge you into something unbreakable. Your fate is not a burden to be carried, it is a destiny to be loved.